So some years ago, I think maybe nearly 20 years ago, I went to India to learn Kalari Payattu, which is a South Indian martial art, and they fight with sticks and swords, nunchucks, all kinds of interesting weapons. But it's a very athletic martial art, and they have lots of high kicks, and the training is quite intense. So I situated myself in South India, in Varkala, and I found the most amazing yoga teacher in the world, and his name was Sunil. And he'd actually left the temple. He'd married a Russian woman, which was it's a bit of a no-no when you're a celibate Brahmin priest and head of the temple. So he'd kind of lost his job. But and he'd become a yoga teacher. But he had spent 20 odd years being a Sanskrit scholar and local priest, and he was my yoga teacher. Very interesting guy, and we had some wonderful conversations because he was especially interested in which religion we had in England before we became Christian. So we used to sit and talk about Welsh gods and goddesses, which he pointed out to me were all Sanskrit names. So we think we had an ancient culture in England. It looks like it possibly originated out of India, many of our ancient legends. This is by the by anyway. His best friend was also called Sunil. So my first two spiritual teachers really were Sunil and Sunil. Sunil Chandran, who's actually a famous Reiki Master in Kerala, a very psychic person. And I didn't believe in Reiki, to be honest. I thought that was a bit flaky. And I had a neck problem because I'd fallen off a surfboard and been smashed into the seabed, basically, and I had a bit of pain in my neck. I'd been slam dunked by a wave in Kovalam, very dangerous place to go and learn to surf. So I was in a lot of pain, and he did psychic surgery on my neck, and he pulled this pain out of my neck without even touching me. He was stood 3 feet away from me, and he pointed his 2 fingers at my neck and just pulled the pain out, and I felt it being yanked out of my neck. Well, when you meet somebody like that and you're kind of curious about life in the way that I seem to have been, you're not going to let this guy get away, are you? You're like, wow, okay, you're a Reiki master, what else do you do? So I ended up, learning from him, and he taught me Reiki. So part of my Reiki master training with Master Sunil involved exorcism. If you don't believe in that kind of thing, I fully understand, because I never used to believe in that kind of thing until strange things present themselves to you and you find yourself in some quite frightening situations with no rational explanation. So, yeah, my working class electrician world from the council housing estate took a bit of a slaying every time I went to India. My mind was opened up as I was presented with some quite insane situations. Anyway, some years later, I found myself being the beach Reiki master in Gokana, in Kudley Beach. And I was staying at the Ganga Cafe on the northern part of the beach. And I was sat in my hammock. It was a beautiful sunny day, and from my balcony, the sea's 20 feet away. You can just hear the waves lapping, and you can see dolphins, and there's eagles, and sometimes there was a troop of langur monkeys used to come around and steal your fruit and things like that. The odd snake could go slithering by. There was backpackers, people from all over the world. It was quite a pleasant little community to be part of. And the local Indian people were fantastic there as well. I met some nice friends there. So it's a lovely, secure, nice, safe space for me. Now I'm just sat, enjoying life on my balcony, just watching the waves crash and daydreaming, sitting in my hammock. And this forlorn-looking figure starts walking up the balcony, and I filled instantly with fear. There was a real clenching palpitating fear, and I was observing that, and I looked at this guy, and he wasn't physically threatening, and even if he was, that's not too much of a problem. I'm a working class lad from East Hull, you know, I can handle myself. So I wasn't physically intimidated by him, but there was just something really off with this guy, and I thought, oh God, here comes today's nutter for a Reiki session, like, you know, because you'd get some very interesting and confused people come in for Reiki. Some of them were actually quite vulnerable, and I did stand by my Hippocratic oath of do no harm and be an honest healer, and I genuinely tried my best to help people who had got themselves into a bit of a mess in India one way or another. So I was doing my service to the universe, so to speak. And this guy comes closer, and I'm thinking, oh dear, he's going to come and talk to me. And he sits down in a chair, and he says, are you Jason, the Reiki Master? Yes, I am. And he said, my benefactor has told me that you can teach me how to move objects. And I thought, oh God, here we go. This is going to be exciting, like. But there was a real fear of this guy, very intense fear. So I psychically protected myself, and I went and I sat in a chair opposite him, and I looked him in the eye, and I said, I don't know how to move objects, and if I did, I wouldn't be inclined to teach people. And I looked at this guy's face, and I've never been so terrified in my life. His face morphed this way, then it went that way, and then his face morphed out to me and then came back, and I was just stunned. I was, this guy had got my attention now. I'm breathing deeply, trying not to crap myself, to be perfectly honest, and I'm in a state of fear. And I'm looking at him, and his face is doing all these weird things. And I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure if I've gone insane. I'm not sure if I'm seeing this guy's actually insane himself, and on some psychic level, I'm seeing this guy's insanity manifest in front of me. Like maybe he's a paranoid schizophrenic, and I'm seeing his madness. And I look behind him, and there was God, I'm getting scared talking about this. There was like a 12-foot tall black shadow stood behind him, and I knew I was in trouble. So I calmed myself, and his face is doing all these kinds of strange things, and he said, my benefactor will give you lots and lots and lots of money right now if you'll teach me what you know. And I told him that wasn't possible, and that I didn't have the knowledge that he wanted, but he was persisting and going on at me about this with his face morphing and distorting. And I said to him, I have a better idea. Why don't you let me talk to your benefactor? So, bearing in mind, Sunil had taught me how to tackle a demon, and to coin a phrase, I rugby tackled the damn thing and had a right good go at it, and I managed to get it off him and send it away. It's a secret technique, I can't tell you this. And I sent him away to the sea to go, and I said, stay in the ocean and be in salt water for a very long time, and be careful who you talk to when you come out of the ocean. And he went away. And I'm sat there, stunned. I'm kind of wondering if I need to go and see a psychiatrist myself after what I've just seen. I'm questioning my own sanity at this point. And I'm teetering on the brink. I'm really not sure what the hell has gone on just then. And a friend of mine called Franya Loomis, lovely woman, larger than life character, a Reiki master herself, came up to me and she said, geez, Jace, did you see that guy's face? His head was like twisted, like it had been run over by a truck. And at that point, you know, I knew that I wasn't mad and I'd actually seen something from the dark side, very terrifyingly real. And an hour later, this guy came back, and I thought, oh God. But he brought the darkness back with him. And he said, I did what you said, I went to the ocean. But when I came out the sea, my friend was stood waiting for me, and I invited him back. So I wasn't going to risk my life again for this idiot, so I just shooed him off the balcony and sent him away. And I was quite afraid for a while that, you know, he might try and use black magic on me or something like that. It was quite a frightening time. So people often wonder if evil exists. Yes, it does, and it gets hold of people. But if evil exists, then also the good gods and goddesses and the good side and the light side of the force also exists. And one thing's for sure, this guy was the strangest Reiki client I ever had.